Chapter 1, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the Yoga of Arjuna's Dejection. The first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is titled Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which translates to the Yoga of Arjuna's Dejection. This chapter sets the stage for the profound teachings that follow and introduces the central characters and the context of the Battle of Kurukshetra. The scene opens on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where two groups of cousins, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, are poised to engage in a war for the throne of Hastinapura. Dhritarashtra, the blind king and father of the Kauravas, is unable to witness the events directly and thus inquires from his charioteer, Sanjaya, about the happenings on the battlefield.
Dhritarashtra's query. Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya to describe what his sons and the sons of Pandu are doing, gathered on the sacred battlefield, ready for war. This marks the beginning of the narrative, highlighting the tension and anticipation that pervades the scene.
Sanjaya's description. Sanjaya starts by describing the military formations of both armies. The Kauravas, led by Duryodhana, have a formidable lineup. Duryodhana, surveying his vast army, approaches his teacher Dronacharya, highlighting the strength of their forces and the renowned warriors on their side, including Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, and others. He also acknowledges the might of the Pandava army, led by Bhima and Arjuna, and supported by their allies. The blowing of conches. As the preparations for battle continue, the warriors on both sides blow their conches, signifying the commencement of the war. The sound of these conches reverberates through the battlefield, creating an atmosphere charged with excitement and dread. Krishna, serving as Arjuna's charioteer, blows his conch, Panchajanya, while Arjuna blows his Devdatta. Arjuna's dilemma. Arjuna, a central figure in the Pandava camp, instructs Krishna to position their chariot in the middle of the battlefield so he can see those assembled for battle. As Arjuna surveys the opposing armies, he is overwhelmed with sorrow and compassion upon seeing his kinsmen, teachers, and friends on both sides, ready to fight and die. Arjuna is struck by a deep moral and emotional crisis. He is filled with grief and his mind is clouded with doubts about the righteousness of the war. He sees the faces of his relatives, beloved friends, and revered teachers, and is consumed by the thought of killing them, which he perceives as a great sin. Arjuna's despondency. Arjuna's inner turmoil manifests as he speaks to Krishna, expressing his inability to fight. He describes how his limbs are weakening, his mouth drying up, his body trembling, and his mind reeling. He foresees the destruction of families, the erosion of Dharma, righteous duty, and the subsequent rise of Adharma, unrighteousness, if the war proceeds. Arjuna's heart is heavy with the potential consequences of the war, which he believes will lead to the moral decay of society and the disintegration of family values. Arjuna continues to express his sorrow, emphasizing the futility of the war and the devastating impact it will have on the survivors. He argues that the joy of victory and the pleasures of the kingdom are not worth the lives of his loved ones. He questions the very purpose of the war and the righteousness of killing one's own kin for the sake of power and wealth, the ultimate surrender. In his state of despair, Arjuna puts down his bow and arrows and declares that he will not fight. He turns to Krishna for guidance, seeking clarity and a solution to his moral dilemma. This act of surrender marks a pivotal moment in the Bhagavad Gita, as Arjuna acknowledges his helplessness and looks to Krishna for wisdom. Chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita lays the foundation for the teachings that follow by presenting the complex and conflicting emotions of Arjuna. It portrays the universal human experience of facing difficult choices and the inner conflict between duty and compassion, righteousness and attachment. Arjuna's despondency serves as a catalyst for the profound philosophical and spiritual discourse that Krishna imparts in the subsequent chapters. The themes of duty, dharma, righteousness, and the nature of life and death are introduced in this chapter, setting the stage for the exploration of deeper philosophical concepts. Arjuna's predicament highlights the importance of seeking guidance and wisdom when faced with moral dilemmas and the necessity of understanding one's duty in the broader context of life and spirituality. In essence, Chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita encapsulates the initial turmoil that precedes enlightenment, underscoring the transformative journey from confusion and despair to clarity and wisdom that is central to the teachings of the Gita.